Deon Price, This Youth Generation, Life Skills Academy. In light of what's been going on in this country recently with the attacks between the police officers and African American males, dangerous and hostile, disheartening. With that in mind, there's some viable information that needs to be disseminated. Black men are being executed. Police officers across this country are being ambushed, ugly scene. My energy and this platform that's being used is geared toward youth and specifically African American males because they are at the height and in most endangered position, most vulnerable to what's going on. That's the way I choose to use this platform. So the latest column, my latest column was called Don't Give Them a Reason. You can get that access to the entire column on our Facebook page as well as the This Youth Generation page as well. I highly recommend you share this. Conversation started with young black males. In our platform, when we deal with young black males, my focus is not on trying to solve these huge problems of hate and violence. If we think we can solve these huge issues of hate, violence, and racism, we are fooling ourselves. Those ills of human nature has been in existence since the very beginning of time. Since the beginning of human beings, there had been hate, racism, and violence. We're not going to solve those problems. Those issues are too large for human capacity to solve. Do not fool yourself. So the best thing we can do is put systems in place, like our government, for one, our leadership, and law enforcement can change and make drastic changes to give immediate consequences for these police officers who use excessive force, and it's obvious. They need to be dealt with swiftly and harshly. Then you won't have a protest. If a black man kills a black man, that black man usually goes to jail. And that's counter some of these issues of why aren't we protesting when there's black on black crime. Here's why. Because there's violence against African Americans against African Americans, they go to jail. That's what happens. But what's happening is these officers would seem to be blatant excessive force executing these young men, and they're not being dealt with. That's what the outrage is about. Put that in perspective. But again, we cannot solve violence with violence. It's sickening. Dr. King said that long ago, one of my favorite quotes. So my focus again is not on these huge big rocks. That's not going to be how we solve our problems. Anything else is going to be a band-aid on a bullet wound. So I encourage every parent, every youth coach, every person that has a friend, a cousin, a son, a daughter, or anybody in this hot box that we live in, is to help them to navigate around the environment that we live in. That's what This Youth Generation, the column, is about. That's what Raised in Hell, the book, is about. You cannot control your environment, but you can control how that environment will affect you. Case in point, the column talks about don't give them a reason. What that means is young black men, we have to get legitimate. You know that you are operating in a different set of circumstances than any other human being on this planet. So you cannot ride dirty. You got to be legitimate. You got to have your registration. You got to have a valid license. You can't ride illegally. You can't be riding dirty because all they need is a reason. You're already a target. So why give them a reason? We have to be proactive. We got to be smarter than that. So I teach every young man in every class and every opportunity I get to share with young black men. I encourage them highly to get legitimate. Don't give them a reason. And if you are confronted, how you deal with that confrontation is critical. You're not going to fight that battle and you're not going to win that battle in the field. The officer may be wrong and you may be right. But like my good friend Mike Johnson says in our TYG class here in California, he always quotes, you don't want to be dead right. Trayvon Martin was right to fight and defend himself against this overzealous rent-a-cop or wherever he was. Oscar Grant was right to question and say, why am I being arrested? I'm already taking it. Why am I? He had every right. But they're dead right. So we're not going to win those battles. There are systems in place, and there are enough leadership in place nowadays that we shouldn't have to fight those battles in the field. We can talk to the police department. We can talk to the chief of police. We can partner ourselves and open up a regular dialogue, which we've done here in Fairfield, California, have an open dialogue and a comfortable relationship with the leadership in this community And everyone should do that in every community across this nation. So if there's an issue, we have an open dialogue and we can say, hey, you have an officer out here out of control. How are you going to deal with that? That works. Proactive, open communication. Also, on the other side, if we prepare ourselves, like insurance, I encourage, if you have an attorney, if you cannot afford an attorney, I highly encourage young black men, like insurance, to invest in a supplemental legal service. One I know of is called Legal Shield, about $15, $16 a month. It is worth it. That means you at least, at the very least, you can call someone if you're incarcerated or you're being detained. And you have legal advice at your fingertips on 1 or 2 phone calls away on an emergency situation and also for legal advice. That's worth it to me. I encourage every young man to invest in that. We spend, $60, $80 on shirts, $200 on tennis shoes. You can invest $15 a month to protect yourself, just like auto insurance, life insurance, all this stuff. Get yourself some legal insurance. Also, I want to encourage you to learn how to communicate, learn the local laws of your area. Once you are confronted, obey all the laws. If you're pulled over, turn the cab light on so there's no questions of what you're doing. You have nothing to hide. Have your license and registration in a high visible place, such as your visor, where they can see you reaching for that. You can say, I'm reaching for my license and registration. Have it visible right there. That way there's no questions. If there's a confrontation or officers being out of control, let him be out of control. Let him be disrespectful. Just ask and get his badge number, and you can follow up. Even if he don't give you his badge number, later they have accountability of who's on shift, what beat they run. You can find that out later. Do not try to fight that battle in the field. Do not give them a reason. Don't fight the battle in the field, and be proactive and get you some protection in case you need some legal advice. This youth generation, Deon Price, love y'all, man. Let's stay together. Let's be smart. Let's be wise. I'm just a humble servant trying to make a difference to improve the quality of life for young black males. Stay connected.